Been listening to Ajahn Buddhanamo. I think that's how you pronounce. So apologies if that's wrong. Wrong pronunciation. Punadhamo. Punadhamo? P-U-N-N. Punadhamo. I think Punadhamo, I'd like to know how to pronounce that exactly correctly. I think that's how I read it. Punadhamo. Ajahn Punadhamo. Yeah, I was listening to him a lot. I like what he says about pushing through the difficulty, the not running away from the uncomfortable states and not chasing after the pleasant states that arise. Also spoke about jhanas and how it's possible to almost get into the first jhana maybe, and then the mind becomes afraid of what's happening, and then that state is lost, or the mind becomes excited. Both sort of have to be done away with, really, or let go of mindfully, whether it be excitement or whether it be excitement or fear. Which makes me reflect really on excitement, and when people ask, are you excited? And it seems like asking, is the food delicious? that liking of the food being delicious, that is a problem. As is the excitement of something about to happen. Both those states are temporary. They're not balanced. Neither excitement nor liking are states of peace. Another thing I was thinking about this evening was how my wife there are some people in her family that either think it's funny or playful or something along those lines to call our twin boys Rocky and Rambo. I think my wife's getting fed up with that. And the truth is that I never felt comfortable with them saying that. The first time I heard it, the first time I heard my wife's brother, I think he was on the phone on loudspeaker to someone, to possibly his nephew or something, and oh no, he'd just come in the house and I think, and he said, "Where's Rocky and Rambo?" And they have names. And I chose the name of one of them, one of the boys, chose his name. And my wife chose the name of the other boy. And we love their names, which was why we gave them those names. And we love them. And there's a difference between a joke and doing something repeatedly when it's clear that the other person doesn't find it funny and they're getting irritated by it. And in some ways that's rather cruel. I'm not saying I've never done anything like that. I've never been cruel, mocked someone. However, my wife's brother, for example, he's a lot older than my wife. He's had a lot of life experience. He's had enough experience to know what's right and wrong, and what's fair and what's not fair. And in some ways he claims he wants to connect with me and be like an older brother to me. But if he's going to be an older brother to me in the same way that he's an older brother to my wife, then I don't want that. Because he doesn't really, from what I can see, take her seriously. And treat her with the respect that she deserves. Now, I'm not saying I've always treated her seriously and that I've always given her the respect she deserves. And that's why I'm working on myself. But that doesn't mean just because I know that I've got flaws and I know that I've done a lot of things I'm not proud of, doesn't mean that then I can still condone what he's doing. Two wrongs don't make a right. Or in this case, multiple wrongs don't make a right. What's interesting is that my wife's brother goes by a nickname. He goes by a nickname. And he goes by a nickname because I suppose given that his name is quite an unusual, you could say, old-fashioned Punjabi name that I've hardly known anyone in this country with that name. And that's not to disrespect the name, that's just to point out something. Because of that, I gather that he's embarrassed. And I gather that to an extent, to one extent or another, all four of them are somewhat embarrassed regarding their names. Because they are all given Punjabi names by their parents, and they've all grown up in Birmingham, UK, around many people who don't have those kinds of names. And people can be unfair, people can be bullying, and people can be racist and all of that. So I can understand why people may be self-conscious about that. So on the one hand, I can understand why they may like the idea of nicknames, because for them, nicknames have been a source of comfort for them, that they can go by a nickname without the aggravation, without the stress of actually changing their name. They can just go by a nickname. And my dad changed his name because he was given an Indian name. He was born in India, and he was given an Indian name, and the children at school used to mock his name when he moved to the UK and when he went to school here, and they used to mock his name and bully him about it. And he was very upset about it. And he got his name changed. I considered at one point changing my surname to my middle name, because my surname is it sounds pretty biblical, my surname, and biblical in the Judeo-Christian sense, and I'm not of that anymore, and for some time now, but I decided to keep it because really just in honor of my grandfather, who I loved very much, who I love very much. In many ways, I feel his presence still in my life all the time, guiding me in different ways. So this is a sensitive subject for me, and people have often spelt my name incorrectly, mainly by accident, although there's been some people who I know of who have done it on purpose. It seems like they've done it on purpose because they've done lots of other things on purpose, so it certainly feels like it. And it's hurtful when someone intentionally disrespects you. But that's just the way some people are. But the thing is that me and my wife gave our twin boys those names, and we're proud of them, and we're proud to give them those names, because those names have meaning to us. There's meaning to the names we gave them. Different meanings for the different names, different meanings for both of us. And we're proud to call them by those names. And those are their names. And I remember my dad used to get upset that there was an ex-partner of mine that used to call our cat's name was Bo, and she called the cat Bobbish, and his name was Bo. My dad didn't like that. And in some ways my wife is like my dad. In many ways, and many of the things that I love about my dad, I also love about my wife, similar things. Fortunately though, my wife is a much more soft and gentle person than my dad could. My dad has can have much more of a temper, although it's got less over the years, but it still is can still lose his temper, and it's quite traumatic for me when he does, even though he doesn't mean it to be, and he's just struggling with his anxiety and the pressure that he's under, the difficulties that he's got to deal with. You know, he's been through whatever he's been through, and that's the way he copes with it. Ugh.